How you doing? This is Brian from A&J Cycles. Today's tech video is going to be airbox removal on a 2017 and up Triumph Bobber Black, or Speedmaster. We get asked all the time, do you have any install instructions? What do I do? We get customers that call up with check engine lights, so we're going to do a little tutorial here while we install on this customer's bike here. So here is the Bobber. This is actually a 2017 standard Bobber. But as far as the airbox goes, these are the same on all of them, as far as we know. Speedmaster might be a little bit different, but we've done this on Bobber Blacks and Bobbers, and definitely the same. So we're gonna remove this whole area here, along with the throttle body covers here, install some pod filters. We're gonna install a Viba Harness on this. I'm also installing some turn signals because we did one of our short fenders on this bike here. But the focus of this video is going to be on the actual removal of the airbox, what sensors I need to take out, what I need to still leave plugged in so that I don't get a check engine light, install a new breather on that. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is remove these covers here. So we're going to take those off. There's some bolts we're going to take out on each side. Probably going to end up taking off more than I need to. We're going to start with taking off this bolt here, these three here, to get this cover out of the way. And then we're going to remove the 12mm on the back here on both sides. All right, so to remove these here, this is a 3mm Allen. Just going to loosen those. They got gobs of Loctite on them, so it's going to take a little bit here to get these out. You do not need to remove the tank to do the airbox removal. Alright, so I got that screw out, so these covers just pull out and down. So there you go. Next we're going to take that little bolt off there, and also these three here. So these here are their torque bits. You need a T20 torque wrench. So it's going to take out all three of those. 1, 2, 3. And then this will just pull off of there, just like that. All right, so I was able to get that top bolt out there. Next bolt is this one down here on the bottom. So once you get those two bolts, this just pulls off. So now the next steps are going to be removing the tubes that go to the throttle bodies. So that's that bolt. That's just going to get loosened up. I'm also going to take off this breather here with some pliers. And then there's also a bolt up here that I'm going to take off. And one down there. So once I get that, loosen this whole side cover. Once I've actually removed these bolts back here, the whole airbox, actually, that side cover, should pull right out of there. So the tube ones here, I'm going to loosen them both. You could probably get away with doing one or the other. Just when I go to pull this thing out, I don't have any issues, so I'm just going to loosen them both up. So those are also 3mm Allen. Loosen that up. Loosen that one too. All right, so we need to remove a couple other things from this airbox before we can pull it out of here. This fuse just lifts up, pull down, and then pull it out of that slot. This back here, you can't really see it, but back in there, there's a little, it's going to stick a little screwdriver in there to depress the tab, and then the fuse box will slide on out of there. All right, so see that little. All right, so I'm removing these two torque bits here. It's actually a T30. I'm going to take those off, and then we're going to have half of this airbox out of here. Okay, so I've got those two bolts out, the rear bolt off now. I've got the fuse blocks disconnected and the main fuse here. So now to remove this, little trick here, just pull back and then come forward with it. All right, and this will just kind of wrestle out. You'll see this plug here. For now, we're going to undo this, unplug it so that we can remove this. So you see that just kind of fell out of there. But You do need to keep this plug after you remove the airbox. This is your intake air temperature sensor, IAT. So we're gonna take that out with a torque, plug that back into the plug, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do with that later on. So there we go. We got half of the airbox out. Fuse panel, main fuse, fuse block, main fuse, and then you can also just pull this rubber thing off because we're gonna mount the pod filters right to there. So once again, very important. You don't want to check engine light. Make sure you pull this air intake air temperature out, sensor out, and plug that back into that plug you just removed. So here we are on the other side. It's going to be more of the same. 12 millimeter on the back, 3 torques here, Allen here, Allen up here, Allen behind the cover once we get that off, and then over here what we have is the this is your ODB2 connector. So this is what the dealer hooks up to when they bleed your brakes, reset your wrench icon, check any fault codes, anything like that. So that just pulls right out of there. So we're just gonna leave that hanging down. All right, so here we are on the right side of the bike here. Remove that top bolt, that'll come off. 1 Allen in there, these are 3 millimeters again. 1 down the bottom, that comes out of there. And next we're gonna take these 3 bolts here. So these are T20 torque. There's another breather tube in the back. I was able to pull that off with my fingers. If not, you can just compress that with a pair of pliers and that'll come right off. So I've got both of these loosened up. All right, so I've loosened the 2 T30 torques, one up there. There's one back in there. And the 12 millimeter, I slid the collar back here. I'm just gonna pull this one out. This one does not have any plugs on it. So this side you don't need to remove anything. All right, so now we've got everything removed here. There's an additional step that you can do. Some people will remove this plastic thing. I like leaving it in sometimes because it keeps that plug up there out of the way. I guess it all depends on how your pod filters are gonna fit. So I'm gonna go upstairs and grab some pod filters. I'm gonna install those. All right, so we have the, it's basically like a breather splitter here. I'm not sure what this plastic thing is doing here. But what we're gonna do is just install either a uni or a K&N filter on the breather coming out of the crankcase here. So this could just be removed. Just sliding it out. And now we just have the tube directly out of the engine. This is now garbage. You can remove it in case you ever need to put it back. This is the uni breather that we use. I like this one because it's black. It's a washable filter. It already comes pre-oiled. And it has this little hole in it that you can actually use a wire tie to secure or bolt, which is pretty nice. So this just gets pushed into here. Like that. And then we just kind of push it in underneath there and secure it with a wire tie to that bracket if we're able to keep that in there. All right, so on this bike, I'm going to be installing the K&N extra long filters that we make here. Pretty clean on there. We offer a few options. We actually offer just really short pod filters that'll fit and will also clear the stock airbox if you want to keep it in. We offer a long one, and then we have these are we're considering the XLs. By the time this video comes out, we'll have 2 more options, which are more of a traditional cone type filter from K&N. That'll be a little bit longer. And then our personal favorite is the Sprint filters. Those are waterproof. We're just having trouble keeping them in stock. The US distributor just doesn't stock enough of them, and we get like 5 pairs at a time. They sell out in a week. Those are waterproof, they're nice, but you can't go wrong with a good old quality K&N air filter. So the first thing you need to do here is oil this filter. So we're gonna oil both filters now. All right, so I oiled up the filters. All the K&Ns either come pre-oiled or with a little oil packet in with them. So I took the easy way. I used the spray-on oil because I have a cleaner kit here. So these are installed. You'll see I wire tied the uni breather up to the bracket there. And then the air intake temp sense. I just wire tied it to there. I think it's out of the way enough where you won't really see that. You do want it to get some fresh air there. I've buried them underneath the Viba covers before. It honestly just needs to get somewhere. I wouldn't go put it like right next to the engine because I think that's gonna kind of throw off that reading a little bit. Let's go around to the other side here. Let's see again. K&N installed. I left the bracket in, keeps that out of the way. I am removing the little clips here that the screws thread into for the covers. So that's how those filters look on there. All right, so we've got this thing, we got the turn signals all installed here. Soldered up, hardwired. Now we're ready to install this Viba Harness cover here. So these come from France. We're the only people in the US that actually carry them and stock them, but have them in stock at all times. They are expensive, especially for a 3D printed piece of plastic. So this is what you get in the package. Fuse box is going to go right underneath this clip so you can access it without pulling it apart. This bolt holds it together along with these 2 bolts. So this is going to sit in here like this. So here's what we got in here. What I've done is I've taped up a lot of wires in here so you don't see any of the colors. Fuse is going to sit like right here, your fuse box. And then over on the other side, what I've done is I've tucked your access cable down in there. So that thing's kind of tucked away. So to install this, you need to separate the 2 pieces. So you remove the screw, this screw here from that hole, and then take the 2 nuts off and the long black screws there. So now we have 2 pieces. So the way I normally do this is put this up over top here. It's kind of going to slide underneath. Alright, so we put the Viba cover on here. 2 bolts go across the top. This one on the other side. This is a little tricky to get to, but yeah, if you keep messing with it, it'll get on there. Really happy with how it came out. The customer's happy. Got the lights on there.